Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This is a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season premiere of Lucifer, as well as the series premiere of The Gifted. Like always, if I'm talking about something that you want to listen to, you can always look in the description down below. I include the time when I start talking about each of the respective shows. So for example, if you don't want to hear what I had to say about the season premiere of Lucifer, you can skip to what I had to say about the series premiere of The Gifted. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the season premiere of Lucifer. A fantastic season premiere. So good. Right off the bat, I love that the first person he ends up coming across, because I was wondering how that whole thing, okay, there's so much to run down in this episode. I do apologize. Let's just start from the beginning. I love that he ran into that guy. I was like, because Lucifer's like, you look familiar. I was like, do you know this guy? I'm just like, right, the dude from the bank robbery in last season, right, stripped down to his underwear and everything, which is funny because he gets stripped down to his underwear again and stuff. Plus, he saw Lucifer with his angel wings, which is weird for Lucifer because it's like granted, we still don't know when exactly he cut them off. It's definitely been long enough to the point where he can't he's not used to having them anymore. So immediately past all that, the fact of the matter is, it's interesting to find out that Lucifer's only been gone for 2 days, so no one's really realized he's been missing. Except for a minute dog, because he's been trying to get in contact with him, which I love that whole thing about, yeah, you never told me what happened to mom. It's like, yeah, I did. I texted you. You texted me a bunch of emojis. How am I supposed to know what this means? Then he finds out about their mom, which is like, oh, that's sad. Which you also have Dan, a side story to this is also Dan still suffering from the whole Charlotte thing. It's like, oh, she's pretending like she doesn't know me, which she actually doesn't. But he's like, no, I'm fine. It's okay. Obviously it's still bothering him. Which Lucifer tried to make him feel better. It's like, yeah, I know you're a bit douchey. You can't help yourself. But what's happening with Charlotte is not on you. That's not on you at all. It's something else. Which he's like, well, basically Dan was kind of like, well, yeah, I kind of appreciate it. But it's like, nah, how about you stay in your own lane, essentially? It almost blaming him. It's like, it's your whole fault that everything happened. Which I'm like, how is it Lucifer's fault in the first place? You got mixed up with Charlotte. I guess because he wasn't upfront about who she really was, and that everything Charlotte ever did, it was for, her quote unquote stepson. So, but nevertheless, it's just everything you did on your own, because at every turn Lucifer was like, stop. Don't sleep with Charlotte. Don't be with Charlotte, or I'm gonna be super pissed. It was blatantly obvious the entire time. But nevertheless, what really got me in this episode too was the fact is that Lucifer wanted to show Chloe what he really was, after all this time, because obviously as we remember from the season finale, he was going to confess to her because after everything, it's he owes Chloe the truth, put everything out there, but he got kidnapped and everything, which it's sad because for Lucifer, he couldn't turn into his devil form anymore. So to her, she's looking at it okay, I've given you so many chances. I put my heart out there and you're messing with me again. It's like, no, Lucifer was trying to show her who he really was, but it didn't work. Now, immediately my brain goes, wait a minute. So I was like, so the fact that, and it's something the Minidol says later on too, it's oh, maybe basically it seems like you've been quote unquote forgiven. I'm like, because I was thinking that earlier, I was like, the fact that you can't show your devil face and you have your wings, that means you're an angel again. You're no longer, I guess the whole the whole devil thing came about. I'm curious, was that something that God did to him when he went to hell, or is it a byproduct of him going to hell? Is it something he did to himself when he ended up cutting his wings off? There's so many things I'd like to understand on that. They might never dive too deeply into that, but I am curious how he got his devil face, because I'm sure his normal face is what he had as an angel. So it's how did that whole devil face come about? Was it of his own making? Was it God's? Was it just simply the byproduct of becoming the ruler of hell, being a fallen angel or banished, or whatever the case may be? I'm curious. Because you don't see a Minidol like that even without his wings. I guess in this state he's not really a fallen angel. He's more like a regular human, I guess. So it's just kind of interesting to me. Got so many things to talk about. For one, he had that whole thing. Lucifer's like, oh, I'm gonna help you out a minute, doll. I was so certain he was going to secretly get Linda to start being his therapist. I thought that was going to be it, but it's no, he got him a remedy. He got a lady named Remedy to kind of rub him down and everything. I don't think it got that far because, Amenadel found out about the feathers, which I thought was so interesting because, like, the moment that happened, Lucifer stopped himself from, like, telling Amenadel. And I guess because, like, for Lucifer, and I think that kind of showed you growth in Lucifer too, because he knew how much it would bother Amenadel because it's like, Amenadel's the favorite son, he's the firstborn and everything. And it's just like, he knows how much his whole thing, being an angel, like, being an angel again means to him. Because to him, he's like, oh, you're an angel again, which is like, nah, I'm not. I didn't get my wings back, didn't get my powers back. I saved Linda, sure, but it was kind of a one deal thing. So, but like, which I don't think it is. Obviously, like, there's some makings of his power there, but it was just like, maybe it, and it seems like it ties into the episode too, but I'll get it to that in a second. But nevertheless, it's like, Lucifer cares about, I'm sure he'd play it off me like, I don't want you huffing and puffing and being pissed at me, like you're losing your position as favorite son or something like that. I'm sure Lucifer would say something like that, but I think legitimately it's just because he cares about Amenadel's feelings. He knows how much it would hurt him, so he didn't say anything. So, but even Amenadel calls himself out. He's like, the fact of the matter is you couldn't even confide in me about this. Is like, that shows you just how egotistical I've become. It's like, my ego shouldn't be an issue. I'm the favorite son. I should be above this. I should be the angel that I am, but he's let so much kind of bog him down. And so it does seem like all of this is some, like, basically, I would argue like a angelic midlife crisis is kind of how I'm looking at it. Like, he's his own worst enemy. Not unless there is some greater force in all of this. But the point I was going to make earlier, getting to it, was like the fact is of Ella and the fact of her being like, oh my God, any brother of Lucifer is a brother of mine. She's like, I've seen you walking around here looking all handsome and brooding and everything. And she's touching her. I was like, oh, squeezing his arm and everything. Oh wow, I see who really gets the guns in the family. And it's just like, but this was her first time really interacting, and it's like, it never crossed my mind until they started talking. I was like, right, because like Ella's the very religious person in the show. Like, I mean, we don't actually know where everyone else stands, but she's very open about how she feels about it. And it's like, obviously her and Amenadel would kind of click, and because she talks about like Leo, the roadkill, and who ended up proving to be evidence. But basically she's like, he got his nuts smashed, but he could still prove to be useful. That basically, even when you're at your lowest, when you think you've hit rock bottom, you never know, God has his plans. Like, you might not be aware of it, but basically he has his plans, that your suffering, everything that's led to you being at rock bottom, maybe there'll be some good that comes out of it for someone else. Maybe, this whole thing is some big teaching lesson for Amenadel to put his ego aside, to bring him back to being more humble or something. I don't know. I'm just curious. I am curious to find out like what that is, because that's something that I can't remember. Didn't that happen to him like season 1 going into season 2, like losing his powers and everything? Because it started happening throughout season 1, but it wasn't until season 2 that Lucifer found out about it. So it's been happening for a while now. So I am curious to finally find out. Like, I wonder, will we find out this season or not? What is the cause of that? Obviously, a big part of this case, rotates around Lucifer himself, because the whole kidnapping, trying to figure it out. He ended up taking Chloe back to the crime scene, even though she didn't really believe him. They ended up finding a body of a dude named Steve, and his partner, like friend, Josh, who I can't remember his character's name, but he was one of the, I think he, like, I felt like I fell off of it for a while, but he was on Bones. He was like one of the interns. If I remember correctly, him and Cam had a relationship. I don't know like how far that went. But the last time, like the last part of the show I had seen, like they were a couple. I don't know if that continued throughout the rest of the series or not. But nevertheless, it's just kind of a little side note. They did that whole little pranking thing and everything. But basically it's a group called Snatched, and he ended up, because it seems like they're involved in this whole situation, but there was also that other guy, Sam, who ends up being the real guy. He's the one that kidnapped Lucifer as well as Steve. And it seems like it was someone else that killed him. For what purposes, I don't know. Like the whole like Lucifer getting his wings back, like Sam didn't do that. Like Sam was just as freaked out when Lucifer's wings came. That's why he freaked out the moment he saw Lucifer again. So basically we ended up finding out that the person behind everything is this dude known as the Sinner Man. Apparently he's some like big time crime boss who hired Sam to take Lucifer, which I guess like Steve was just a byproduct, because this guy also, I think he worked on a competing thing too. So Steve getting kidnapped, like, because it seemed like because I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but like, I don't think he worked with Snatch, did he? Because I think he worked with a different kidnapping group or something like that. Which is so interesting. I didn't even know, like, this is in this episode. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, a couple months ago, I ended up watching a movie on Netflix that basically, a comedy movie that kind of revolves around this, like, profession of kidnapping people for a living. It's a whole thing, but nevertheless, like, I just thought that was kind of interesting. This is the second time I've ever seen that in something. It's probably happened in something else, too, and I feel like there is another movie that I'm aware of, but that's totally getting off book here. But, nevertheless, like, so I don't know whether he worked with Snatch, because I feel like the other people, well, no, I think they did mention, didn't they? Because he does work with Snatch. Take back everything I said. Ignore what I was saying. I don't know. Nevertheless, or did he? I don't know. Because the fact is, he ends up dead at the end of the episode because someone bailed him out. So obviously, it's someone powerful up that let that happen. But then you have those other two. Not unless they end up dead, but it seemed like they're not. It seems like Sam's the only one that's dead. But maybe that's because Sam's the only one that had direct correlation with the whole, like, thing. Like, the whole Lucifer situation was him directly. So whoever this Centerman is, like, he did that to him. So obviously with this whole situation, obviously the Centerman isn't a normal dude, which is something I've talked about before. It's like, oh, maybe kind of step outside. Because, like, in this universe of Lucifer, like, you know, based on a little bit I know about the comic books and stuff like that, there are different realms and everything that we never really dive in too much into. So, I mean, and obviously, you even have Lucifer at one point being like, oh, are you a changeling or something? Are you a demon? So obviously, like, the Centerman might be something else entirely, like, supernatural wise. So I'm curious to find out who he is. I mean, maybe we'll even find out that the Centerman is actually an angel. Maybe it's one of Lucifer's siblings or something. Another one. Because I also threw that out there. I was like, oh, it'd be kind of interesting if more of his siblings would pop up. In particular, Azrael being like, yo, where's my blade at, bro? Or something like that. I don't know. I mean, and also, obviously, I'm talking around the whole thing about the new lieutenant, Marcus Pierce, which is interesting because the previous lieutenant, I don't think we ever saw her more than once. And that was in the first episode when Lucifer was getting his job. I don't think we subsequently seen her after that. Maybe we did, but I don't remember. So it's just kind of interesting because I kind of got spoiled because I kind of knew ahead of time that Tom Welling was going to be in this, just simply because I'm subscribed to the DC YouTube channel. So I ended up seeing like 2 or 3 videos pop up of them and like, oh yeah, like Tom Welling's new role, which is so interesting. Like, so far, it seems like he's pretty normal. He's the new lieutenant. He's kind of an asshole, though, because even he was like, Dan's like, oh, I'm glad to work with you. He's like, oh, aren't you that crooked cop that kind of got off easy? What? Excuse me? Yeah, you are excused. And he's like, Chloe's like, oh, yeah, Lucifer. Yeah, you're Lucifer's partner. She's like, no. I'm Lucifer's my partner. I mean, I'm his consultant. He's my consultant. He's like, yeah, that's what I said. And it seems he's so very dismissive and stuff like that. But you have Ella being like, oh my God, isn't he great? He's so amazing. We had this awesome conversation when I bought him those donuts. I mean, they're not for him, you know, they're for everybody, you know, donuts. Yay. It's just like, I love it. So far he's seen, like, kind of comes off like an asshole, but he does congratulate. He's like, hey, you know, you're very good. Hey, I recognize you are good at your job. And, you know, obviously, you know, I'd let you go back to your thing about thinking about Lucifer's thing. But he even talked about the fact is that, like, Sam being released. It's like, well, how did that happen? It's just, I don't know. You can't save everyone or something like that. So it's like, that was just kind of interesting to me. He seems so nonchalant about it. It's just gone, oh well. So maybe he plays some part in this. The fact of the matter is they got Tom Welling. They got Clark Kent, aka Superman, to play a new role in this. So it's like, you know there's something there. I mean, because it's also like he played a DC character for so long, and now he's in another show. It's Vertigo, but obviously once again it's under the realm, the umbrella of DC and everything. So it's just kind of interesting to me. I'm curious to see what his role is in this. Is he actually secretly the Centerman? Is he something else entirely himself? I'm curious to see what role they put him in, because the fact of the matter is, like I said, the lieutenant character never really mattered too much throughout the show. That's why I'm like, I think she only, like, the original lieutenant only popped up in the show like in the first episode and not subsequently afterwards. Maybe she did, and I just don't remember. So, but obviously, like, this whole situation is very interesting on many different levels, because it's like Lucifer cut off his wings and his wings grew back. And it's like, and the way he was talking about, because even Linda was asking, like, oh, can they just, is it like flesh or something? Like, basically, Lucifer, the way Lucifer makes it sound, it's like, once you cut off your wings, there's no going back. Like, it probably takes some, like, super celestial powers to get your wings back. But, like, for that to happen, for his wings to get cut off and then they grow back on their own, it's like something's off here. And he's basically basically Lucifer's chalking up this, oh, this has to be something sinister, you know, because like, I know, because obviously the entire episode he's thinking it's his dad behind it, but it's like, no, God had nothing to do with this. Whoever this Sinnerman is, he did, which begs the question, why do you want to make Lucifer an angel again? Which, not unless this person needs Lucifer to be an angel so that they can become the devil and rule over hell or gain some of the power. Like maybe they're trying to make him an angel again so they can get some of his devilhood, like make him an angel again so they can suck away his devilness and become ruler of hell. Or like, because if he's no longer, because like we still don't 100% know like what the rules are because he's been on Earth for so long. Like what ramifications does that have for hell? Because obviously because he was because he momentarily died and everything, that let his mom get away. So I think as long as he's not, well, no, because if that was a case of like, oh, like someone getting away the moment he died, you would have think the moment he went to hell to save Chloe that someone would have gotten away then, not unless they did. But they haven't really brought it up that that's how that works because I don't think they ever really explained how his mom got out anyway. Because Amenadel was just like, yeah, this wouldn't have happened if you were there. So, like, obviously there's got to be ramifications for him not being in hell for as long as he has. So, what does that mean? Does that mean someone, like I brought up before, can that mean someone can take the job from him or what? Like, what is the state of hell? I mean, because hell is kind of like very self-sustaining. It's like you're in hell, it kind of take care of itself. Like, it doesn't need, like, managing, you know? So, it kind of just fills my head with so many thoughts about what it could all be, what it could all mean. Like, why else would you want to make Lucifer an angel again or something like that, you know? And the question too is, because he's an angel, well, at the very least, he's becoming an angel again, like minus his devilhood. Does that mean while he's around Chloe, he can't lose his powers again, like he was before? I'm curious about that. Because another part of me was also thinking about maybe this is some kind of like, you know, and it's what Amenadel was kind of getting at. Maybe it's his dad rewarding him for everything he's done. Like he's been on a good track. And plus the way he handled the whole like Charlotte, you know, / his mom situation, the way he handled it. Maybe God was impressed and decided to do this. But it's like, why would God go about such a roundabout way? I don't know. Also, the question now becomes, will he eventually tell Chloe the truth? I mean, he can't really reveal himself because for Lucifer, this is a shame. Like, because he doesn't want to be an angel again. His devilhood is who he is. It's always who he has been for such a long time. Because for him, it's like, if I'm becoming an angel again, it's because his dad's manipulation, which now that he knows it's not his dad, it makes matters worse because it's like, who is this? Because whoever is doing this to him has to have some supernatural abilities of like, not just some regular supernatural abilities, some top level abilities to be able to like give him back his wings like that. Not just once, but to constantly make them grow back too. I'm also curious to see, like, we saw a tiny bit of it this episode, but Linda and Lucifer's relationship going forward, because she's going to try and stay, like, she'll help him out, be his therapist and everything, be his friend, but she's going to, like, she has a little guard up a little bit more, because she's like, the reason why she's like, I'm not about to cut off your wings, because the last time I kind of messed in everything Celestial, your little family drama, I nearly got killed, which Lucifer can't, deny. So it's like he's, a lot more understanding about that. So I'm curious to see where things go in that regard. And also the whole thing about Sam, being killed at the end of the episode. He was stabbed on some rebar. That was pretty brutal. Like I said, fantastic season premiere. I am so glad to have Lucifer back, which is so weird to say out loud, but I'm super excited. This has easily become one of my favorite shows ever. It's so good and so entertaining, so much fun, but at the same time, so character and story driven too, that I love the interactions between everyone, like all across the board. All the characters are fantastic, but I'm curious to see what is in store for this season. And once again, what role does Tom Welling's character, Lieutenant Pierce, play in all of this? Because the interesting thing is, like, it does seem like the only person that actually likes him is Ella, because he's kind of like a douchebag and dismissive of everyone else, around him. Because even looking at Dan, it's like, oh yeah, Dan, you get kidnapped, you're expendable. Oh yeah, Chloe. Oh yeah, it's stop being an attention seeker, because it's like stop being a because Lucifer was talking about, oh, let's get kidnapped. Oh, someone should get kidnapped. She's like, well, that was my idea. It's like, come on, Chloe, we don't need a whole glory around here or something like that. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like I said, he's coming off like an asshole. I'm just curious to see what role he plays in this episode. I mean, this season. I mean, it might turn out he's actually normal. It's just maybe we'll see a little more red tape they kind of have to get around. Maybe they can't just do things the way they've normally been. Maybe things change up. There's also part of my brain that was like, is he supposed to kind of enter this as kind of a new love interest? Because once again, I think I talked about this when I did a thoughts and theories, which is the thing too. If you have not seen it, I did do a thoughts and theories about season 3 like a couple months ago when season 2 ended. Just my thoughts about what could go down in this season. Thoughts about the whole wing thing. I put my thoughts out there. I even got someone recently bringing up their thoughts about it. Like, there's certain aspects that you were like, oh, I think this is what this means. I knew ahead of time with certain things, like specific about the wing situation, but I didn't want to say anything because I was like, oh, I'm fine with someone just giving me their theory, which their theory was really awesome. Basically, it was like that Lucifer kind of went back in time, that like he remembers everything from present day, but he kind of went back in time to when he first got here on Earth. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. I kind of knew it was otherwise because of commercials I'd already seen kind of spoiled the whole wing thing to me, because I remember a line of dialogue of Linda being like, whoa, something about your wings growing back. So it's like, yeah, like, it's just kind of his wings are back thing. It's not like time rewound. It's not like we're seeing him at the beginning when he just first got to Earth. Nothing like that, which are theories that, other people have come up with that I kind of talked about in that said video. Nevertheless, if you want to check it out, you can check it out. But the reason why I was talking about it was like I threw in there that maybe possibly Chloe might end up having a love interest this season. Like, that's what I was talking about, because like prior to this, she hasn't had a love interest. The only like possible relationships in this series has been her and Dan and her and Lucifer. There's like Lucifer had a quote unquote relationship with Candy, obviously. I wonder will we be seeing her anytime this season or not. I mean, she's good now. Like, the whole thing was, Lucifer helping her out, so I doubt we probably will, but I don't know. Like I said, probably the thing I'm looking forward to most is finding out what happens to them. Will she find out the truth about him or what? Like I said, so many questions. We will just have to wait till next week to see what goes on in the next episode, as well as just going forward to see what goes down in the season. Like I said, I'm super, super excited to have the show back. It's just going to be so amazing. And now moving on to the series premiere of The Gifted, a fantastic series premiere. I really appreciate about this episode too. It's like the fact is that it didn't beat around the bush. It's like introduced you to the characters, boom, 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 introduced you to the situation, boom, 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 and it kept going. It wasn't like, oh, we just got introduced to their lives and just dilly-dallied or anything like that. It was just like, nah, this is the situation, go. And I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate that, like, everything I've seen about the show, whether it be the commercials or the original trailer, when the first, like, full-length trailer dropped, that I've only seen one of them, so I haven't seen beyond that. But from what I've seen of the show so far, everything has all been in the first episode, like what we saw in the first episode. So I'm going into the rest of the season not knowing anything, which I'm so excited about, because I have no idea what this show is going to be like. Obviously, people have made comparisons to Heroes, which I thought was still kind of interesting, because like I was kind of thinking the same thing too. Like, I was like, oh, when people point out the Heroes comparison, I was like, oh right, yeah, Dad and the character. Which, to be fair, like they made a comparison of like between Lauren and Claire from Heroes, which is like we have never even established that. Didn't even establish that Lauren was like Miss Popular or she was a cheerleader or anything like that. Turns out her dad isn't even like a cop. I was so sure he was going to be a cop just because people made it. I was like, oh, he's got to be like a cop or something like that. It's like, no, he's actually a lawyer. He's a prosecutor. I thought that was kind of interesting, because I was wondering if he was there and everything. I was like, oh, because I was like, oh, do they not know? That's another element to it too. Like his family knew about what he did, that he was a prosecutor. It's like, it's not like he got joy out of it, but it's just like, oh, like I'm a prosecutor, I'm doing my job. These mutants kind of did some stuff, so it's like he's prosecuting it. Even like Caitlin, his wife, played by the lovely and talented Amy Acker, which I'm gonna go right off the bat and talk about that. So many recognizable actors. Obviously, Stephen Moyer, amazing and talented as ever. Know him best as Bill from True Blood. Like I said, the lovely Amy Acker, Fred from Angel. Most recently, obviously, like Root from Person of Interest. Root. Like I said, I adore Amy Acker. I feel like I recognize the actress who plays Lauren. I know her from something. I just can't quite place it. Clarice is Jamie Chung, which is kind of interesting, kind of like actor thing. She played Valerie Vale, who I assume, like, never really found out, but I just assume with the name Vale and everything, she's got to be like Vicky Vale's mom or something. She played her in last season of Gotham, and now she's in a Marvel show on the same channel too. I just thought that was kind of interesting, like the whole divide thing like that. It's funny to me. Plus Kobe Bell, who's been in so much, Burn Notice, The Game, like he's talented actors all across. It's so cool seeing so many familiar faces. But also going back to it, like what I was saying before, I completely sidetracked myself with that tangent. I do apologize. It's the fact is that like I said, I didn't think they knew. I thought it was like, oh, some secret. It's like, no, like he's really open about what his job is. And also the fact is of how long Lauren's been hiding it. She's been hiding her powers for 3 years because it's like she knows what her dad does, but it's not like her dad's like, oh, I'm out there hunting mutants. It's like, no, I've been presented a case, you know, because he was even trying to help out Lorna. I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh, he's handing her something. It's like, oh, is it something connected to her past, like, oh, threatening her family or something like that? Because it didn't seem like he was trying to threaten her or anything. It just seemed like oh yeah, just something to think about. And I was like, what is that? What is that about? Why did she get so pissed? And it's like, oh, she's pregnant. Didn't see that coming. I was like, wow, that's no, it didn't correlate in my head to even think that. Because another thing too, I want to quickly talk about, because the whole pregnancy thing kind of got me thinking. I was like, she's so surprised. It's something I threw out there when I was talking about the trailers, is how the children are mutants, but the parents aren't. Because to me, I always associate the mutant gene as being a hereditary thing. So like, if your kids are mutants, I would have just assumed adults are. Well, once again, I threw it out there of like, maybe it's a situation where it always seems like it hits you at the very least when you're a teenager. Or younger, like you're not going to go most of your adult life not being a mutant if you're a mutant. So that's why I was kind of throwing out maybe the possibility of them being like their adopted parents or something. Maybe that'd be something we see going forward, that's not their biological children. Might be what that might be. But it's also because, you know, the mutation is like an evolutionary thing in the X-Men universe. So it's kind of like, well, it could be like it just happened to strike like the children. So I don't know. Also, side note, now I'm thinking about it, you know, about actors and stuff like that. Once again, going another tangent. I feel like I recognize the actor who plays Marcos too. I just can't place it, but I feel like I know him from something. I just don't know what. But nevertheless, like I said, right off the bat, they did not pull any punches. They were just like, yep, full speed ahead with everything. I mean, truth be told, it kind of sucks. I mean, because the only thing they've really established amongst the characters, like, we didn't really establish much about Lauren's personal life aside from the fact that she has a boyfriend. That's quickly over now that she's been kind of exposed as a, like, quote unquote mutant, because everyone at the school saw her and Andy using their powers, but Andy was bullied, and that's what led to him using his powers. That shows you some piece of crap bullies. It's like, man, you kind of got what you deserve. I mean, they're not dead or anything, so there's that, but it's like, it's crazy when you look at it, because it's like, they really step up, like, bullying in TV shows and stuff like that. I guess it kind of sadly reflects real life, that how extreme people can be when it comes to just being pure and unadulterated assholes, you know? Nevertheless, something I've also thrown out there too when I was talking about the trailer, so I'm sorry, I'm pulling a lot of what I said about the trailer into this because you have a lot more context with everything, you know, is that I'm like, obviously Marcos himself says that we don't know if the Brotherhood or the X-Men are around. So to me, I always looked at it as like, oh, so this is kind of taking place roughly around the time of Logan. Logan was very vague about when it took place. It is distant enough in the future that, you know, possibly the last mutants are being born. So I doubt we're in that critical stage of Logan, but I think we're kind of entering that realm. So I'm sure the show is going to be very vague about the date too. I don't think they even mentioned it or showed it once. Maybe they did, but I think it seems like they're doing that with all the shows, because it's like, I think, Legion's kind of the same way too. I was looking up, some stuff that was basically like, oh, set in the 60s and stuff like that, but it was very vague about the time. You can guess the years and stuff like that, but that's about it. So that also brings up the question, is this going to have any connection to Legion? Will there be any, like, crossover, that being on FX, this being on Fox or anything like that too? Nevertheless, I'll kind of, like, I have other thoughts about that, but I'll kind of save it to the very end. But immediately kind of getting introduced to everyone's powers. John seems like he has more of a senses power. It seems like his powers are connected to his senses. I don't know whether it's like he can enhance his senses almost animalistically or what. Because it was even showing, like, when he had his hand on the ground when they were searching for Clarice earlier, it seemed like he tapped into, like, you had like a bird tattoo, so I'm sure that was just it was supposed to symbolize something, but it just may just happen to represent that. But it seems like he has heightened senses. Marcos has a light ability. He can shoot light from out of his body. It also seems like, obviously because it is light, it doesn't seem like it's just regular light. It looks like it might, I don't know, because I guess in my head it's just, I forget, like, light does generate heat. I know there's a whole scientific breakdown of it, but essentially light generates heat. So I was wondering, it's like, is it sunlight? It's like, it doesn't matter if it's sunlight, it's just light in general. It's concentrated heat, which you can cut through metal with stuff. So got his power. It's also interesting too because when he got shot, his wound looked like light. So it seems like the light isn't just like when he's shooting out light, he's literally shooting out part of his body, like underneath his skin. Is he like? And maybe that's something we'll see going forward. That basically underneath him is nothing but like pure light. Like essentially his insides are nothing but pure light. Maybe that's just me reading too much into it, but. I'd be interested to find out. Just like I said, his wound was light, so not unless that's just his body's like way of compensating for the fact that he got hurt. I don't know. Lauren seems like she has control over metal. It seems like it's almost like an electromagnetic ability because it seems like it messes with electricity too because it popped all the light bulbs, the lights on the cars, but she was able to move like the cars too, and she was able to mess with the screws in Reed's leg. So it's kind of like, huh. It seems like it might be a combination of that. Clarice, teleportation ability, which obviously she kind of falls under the same guidelines as Nightcrawler. She needs to kind of have an. Well, I mean, I've always been confused. I don't remember how Nightcrawler's teleportation works because it seems like I think the thing is he needs to have a clear picture of where he's going, or it can turn bad. That's what Clarice kind of reiterates, which is kind of interesting when you think about it because like I think that actually happens in the comic books, like. That there is a world like where you get lost, kind of the in between. I think that's kind of an established thing in the comics. I might be like completely talking out of my ass, so I do apologize for that. But it just seems like even if it's not a thing, it seems like it should and would be, you know. So that's why I'm kind of inferring. But I feel like I vaguely remember like hearing stuff about like Nightcrawler messing around in that in between world or something like that in the comic books or something. Like I said, once again, could be completely full of shit. I mean, me in that regard. Moving on. But she can basically rip open holes and stuff like that. But if she doesn't have a clear picture, whatever she pulls through has a chance of being sliced in half. So I was thinking like, oh, that means. I mean, I guess it was okay because it was in such a close proximity. But it seems like because that toy got cut in half, later on she taped it back together, so I don't know whether she was able to track down the other half of it, because the only half that came out was the bottom half. So I'm curious, like, was she able to rip open the hole and find, like, did, like, the other half, like, just go through and stay, or, like, how did she get that back? They just quickly, like, the next time we see her, she has the other half and she taped it back together, so I don't know whether she had to go looking for it in that in-between, or did it land on the floor, or how that whole thing worked, so... And then going back and going to Lauren and Andy's abilities, I finally understand Lauren's ability a little bit more. Basically, hers is like she can push the air. She also commented on like, oh yeah, she can also like do it to water and other stuff too, but it's harder. Which is like immediately my brain went, are you a bender? Are you essentially the Avatar in this universe, being able to do what you can do, bending stuff? So basically, like I chalk it up as almost like an air bubble. Like basically, she pushes the air and kind of like. Forces it to push itself together to the point it becomes visible because she's pushing all the air, I guess, all the molecules together to kind of create a shield or force field. And it seems like Andy's ability is kind of almost like a telekinetic thing, but instead of like pulling something, like it seems like his power is pushing. It's so like he's able to exert so much pushing ability that like it's almost like he's sending out like an invisible wave, and anything that gets touched and it gets like caught in it and like pushed is what it seems like. Like it does seem like a very telekinetic. Obviously, like the showers in the bathroom like kind of bent. The walls were breaking. The whole school was coming down. He ripped those sentinels in half, which I saw in the previews, but it's still so cool because he did it, and he did it to multiples at the same time, because those things are freaking tough. Because Marcos like blasted one, it knocked off one of its legs and just kept going, like it regenerated. So it's like those things are tough. It seems like they latch onto you and they don't let go. So also like the Sentinel service, that's so interesting because once again, I guess I should have just brought this up from the very beginning. I am not that familiar with comic books, especially when it comes to the X-Men. I know very little bit about the X-Men. Like the fact of the matter is, Lorna, I can't butcher her name, sorry. Lorna, her name is like, oh, or AKA Polaris. I'm sure there's someone who knows comic books. It's like, oh my god, Polaris. Oh. It's like, no, I'm a nerdy dude, but I don't know comic books that well. I still appreciate and love comic book adapted shows. So a lot of this stuff I'll probably miss, but still, like, the show already from the very beginning seems very amazing. Was not expecting things to kind of play out the way they did with Reed getting shot before he can get through the portal like that. Wasn't expecting that. I should have figured as much that the family, like, of course it was, because the fact of the matter is he was going to stay behind anyway. But I was like, okay, them going to Mexico by themselves, it's like, there's no way that's going to work out happily, because obviously they're a big part of this show. So it's like, obviously they're going to stick around for some reason. Are they going to choose to fight, or are they going to be recruited into the fight? I was like, how's that going to happen? Because Marcos wanted Reed to stay behind so that he can, find a way to get to Lorna. It's like, okay, I help your family, but you stay here to help me with this whole Lorna situation. So what I also appreciate too, and I think it was a beautiful moment, like when they were going to meet up Marcos, and you have like Andy being like, oh my God, there's something sticky in this. Like, where'd you get this car from? And you have Lauren being like, are you serious? It's like, what? Like, you're complaining? We stole the car. What are you complaining of? And just them bickering. And Caitlin had to stop them, but you see a smile on Reed's face, and it was a beautiful moment of just, no matter what the situation is, family is family, and it was just kind of a beautiful moment. So, but I'm also very interested to see more about this Sentinel service. Like, I never knew that. Like, I know a little bit about the Sentinels only because of, like, obviously some of the X-Men movies, like the 90s X-Men cartoons and stuff like that. But it's just so interesting, like the Sentinel service. I guess they're kind of like essentially the FBI, like a special FBI unit equivalency that deals with mutants and stuff like that. But the way Reed was talking, it's like, yeah, you get caught by them, you disappear. He's even talking about even Marcos was like, yeah, like because Reed tried to talk to him, and it's like, you try and talk, you're as good as dead if they capture us. So I don't know. Like I said, a fantastic overall series premiere. I'm so excited to see what this series has in store, like what the storyline is going to be, like what this is all going to be about going forward. Like, obviously this is like mutants fighting back, because the cool thing is, because I was almost under the impression like, oh, is this like a small ragtag group, which is like, obviously the ragtag group is the main focus, but there's others, like this group, this like mutant underground headquarters that they're at that we've seen so far is only one. Like, this whole thing is international, so we'll probably get to see crossover with other groups, calling in for help with this whole situation. Obviously the kids are not, the kids as well as Caitlin and are not going to leave Reed behind, but I'm curious like what kind of ramifications he'll suffer for helping them out and everything. Because there's a part of my brain that's like, oh, will he go undercover or something like that? It's like, well, there's no going undercover, like working with him. It's like, oh, try to get as much information as he can to help out the mutants as well as his family. Because like, there's no possibility for that, because he's been exposed, because he's already been helping his family too. They got away and everything. So it's not like there's any getting around that and stuff, So like I said earlier, I've seen absolutely nothing else about this series going forward. So that's why I'm so curious to see like what the show's about, like what goes down. What other mutants will get to meet. I'm sure a lot of the mutants, kind of going back to the fact is I don't read comic books. I know some of the like more like well-known mutants, but I'm sure there's a lot of mutants that obviously you have like what most people might refer to as Z-listers, like very like back of the catalog, like you need to like do some deep searching to find out about these mutants because they're so low on the totem pole. I'm sure there's probably going to be a few like that, but more often it's probably going to be like the less known ones that probably have their own huge fan base and following. But the fact of the matter is, unless you've like really dived deeply into, like I said, it's been a long ass time since I've seen any X-Men cartoon, especially the one from the 90s. I have not seen it in years. So aside from like the main squad that mainly from like the ones from like the X-Men movies and stuff like that, other than that, don't really know that many mutants. And kind of going back to what I was bringing up earlier, I am curious on like where this show stands, because they're using the name Marvel all over the place, which, I mean, they have in the past before, but it's just like, the fact of the matter is, like, if memory serves correctly, and maybe I'm up 100% full of crap on this, but I could have sworn, like, I remember this actually popping up on the Marvel YouTube channel, like an actual trailer for it. So then it kind of makes me wonder, like, where does this fall in the realm of things? Like, obviously it's X-Men because they're using the term mutant, because, like, only Fox can use mutants, but like I brought this up during the trailer, like it seems like it might be a collaboration between Fox and Marvel, so there might be some collab there. I think like because it's a TV show that there's a little, I brought that up before, like maybe that brings it a little more leeway. I have not looked behind the whole scenes of everything. I kind of don't want to. It was just something I'm curious about. If you know the answer, you can tell me. Honestly, I don't really care. It was just something that was kind of in the back of my mind. There's a part of me that kind of really wants to know, but the other part of me is like, no, who cares? The show is awesome so far, and I'm super excited to see, what goes down, what goes forward. at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good